From the New York City area, welcome to the Badass Counseling Show, where the master badass himself, Sven Erlandson, takes you deep and gives balm for the soul, baby.
And you have reached the Badass Counseling Show podcast. It is great to have you here. My name is Sven Erlandson, and this is a live taping of a lightning round of the Badass Counseling Show. Wherever you are tuning in from, whether it is Poughkeepsie or Great Britain or Trinidad and Tobago or South Africa, we love our listeners, and we love all the questions that you fire in during the Badass Counseling Show. And these lightning rounds, I am joined in studio by my team, KC over in the booth, lovely as always, and Rob the Rocket sitting next to me. Rob, what say ye fine man?
How nice, how gracious of you, Sven.
It's
Thank
true,
you.
my man.
I'm feeling good. Blue skies smiling at me.
Yeah?
That's right.
Well, I like that.
Nothing but blue skies do I see.
I like it. I tell you, the man is happy. Rewind the tape. Listen to some of our episodes from last March or a year ago. And it's great to have blue skies shining in Rob's life. Although he's always been an upbeat guy. I shouldn't say that.
Even in the darkest days.
Even in the darkest days. And this man has been through it all. Cancer, divorces. We've both had a few of those. And so it's good to have those blue skies, ain't it? It is.
Yes, it is.
Certainly. All right, here we go. We are starting. We are live presently for those of you listening into the Badass Counseling Show. We go live on 3 platforms. We take questions across all platforms, and we just go rat-a-tat-tat. So we are live right now on Facebook, on TikTok, and on YouTube. And here we go, folks. First one is from Moonwitch on TikTok, not to be confused with Sandwich. Moonwitch says, what is the best way to figure out how to move forward after the healing starts? Yeah, honestly, if you're wanting to move forward while healing, you're almost confounding the process. You can do whatever you want. It's your life. Do whatever you want, Moonwitch. But the bottom line is the healing process is almost a pause. Now, you can play it however you want, but once the healing starts, my recommendation, again, do what you want. My recommendation is just wait until the forward movement feels inspired. The mere fact that you're asking how to move forward says that you don't feel inspired to take any particular action yet. And that's okay. You're wanting to move forward, but you're not inspired to take any particular action. That's what I always tell my clients when we first start out, I'm not going to push you to take any actions, and I don't want you to push yourself. Because if we're having to push to take action, we're forcing action for action's sake. And usually if we're taking action for action's sake, we're avoiding something in the staying put. And in healing, I want you to stay put. Why? Because that's what it requires. If you're moving forward, you're probably trying to get out of something uncomfortable. And so what we're trying to do is get all that crud out of you so that your authentic self can rise up. And that's where inspired action comes up from. And you will know, even if the inspired action is, you know what? I want to spend more time outside. Or if the inspired action is, you know what? I want to just join a book club, or I want to start dating online, or I want to spend less time with my family. Whatever it is, you will know. So the best way to move forward is to wait until you feel an inspiration rising up from within. Until then, it is time to stay put and heal and to not try to run off, because so much of what we try to do in our lives, as I talk about in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup in the 3rd chapter, you're running. Whether it's through booze, pot, pills, overparenting, overworking, gambling, cheating, smoking, busyness, chaos, whatever it is, those are methods of running away from all the discomfort inside. And the goal of healing is to sit in it and to flush. And the more you get all the crud out of you, it's not just the pain and the fears, but the bullshit beliefs you've been taught about yourself, the more you get that out, your authentic self rises up. And that with that authentic self rising up is inspired action. And it will tell you what is next. Next question. All right. Moonwitch says, Thank you. That makes total sense. I feel like I'm being lazy. No, you're not being lazy. And that's the thing. We so push for action, 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 especially in the US. It's like everything has to be action. No. And that goes against the spiritual journey, the journey of this human spirit. The journey of the human soul is one that is dictated by the soul. And if the human soul in your soul's journey, if you don't understand the importance of rest, which means very often doing nothing, if you don't understand and grow to understand the significance of that and the importance of that in the evolution of your own soul, you will never become your authentic self. Because, and we so think, I got to do, so that at the end of my career, I can then do nothing. Hell no. I nap or take a 20 minutes just to shut down my system every single day, sometimes twice or 3 times a day. Why? To recalibrate, just to rest or whatever. And I've had periods in my life where I've taken a year or 3 years to go into a state of doing nothing. And my greatest creativity, my greatest power has come from those times, whether it's 20 minutes or whether it's 4 years. The importance of shutting down and allowing yourself to stay put and to let go of. And journal on, Moonrich. You need to journal on that feelings of guilt and being lazy. Flush that out because that's a negative force inside of yourself that you're fighting yourself. All right, next question.
Like taking a break after a workout of a day or so, right?
Oh, right. And the truth is, it's during those periods of rest, that's when muscle growth happens. It doesn't happen in the gym. That's when you're tearing down the muscle. It's the period of rest afterwards. That's when the regeneration and growth happens. All right. Rod Hill on YouTube, on Facebook asked the question, how do I get over a trauma bond to my ex-wife? Okay. I'm going to set aside the term trauma bond. Okay. No disrespect, Rod. I'm just setting aside that term because so many of these catch terms that we use in sort of modern pop, therapy out in culture, it just gets so laden with so many thoughts and meanings to so many different people. It's just like, what the hell does it even mean, right? And I know you know what you mean. And normally I tell people, don't use any of the pop jargon or psychology. Put it in your own words. So in this case, I'm just going to leave that phrase out and say, how do you get over your bond to your ex-wife? And in all honesty, what you need to be getting out of you is all the feelings. What that trauma bond or just plain any bond with my ex-wives, it was love. It was rage. It was disappointment, betrayal. I was cheated on by 2 of them. It was fundamental disappointment. It was all these feelings. And I had to flush and flush and flush. Because it's not just the memories themselves that are keeping you caught in it. It's not the traumatic event. It's all the emotional charges that are attached to it, spinning around that memory like electrons spinning around a nucleus. That's the charge. That's the electricity that gets triggered when you see a woman that reminds you of her, or when you hear that particular song, or when you smell that particular perfume, or whatever it is. All right, or you see the tomatoes at the grocery store. Why? Because she always liked tomatoes? No, because you see them and you want to throw them at her stupid face. Whatever it is, you've got everything is like a trigger. Everything's like a match or a lighter that lights the fuse of all this dynamite inside of you. You got to get its dynamite out. What I would recommend, sit down and start writing her letters that you don't send. Start writing her letters. Don't stop writing her letters, and don't send the letters. I mean, you can, but you're just going to embarrass yourself. And you can do that. I don't give a shit. I sent the letters. I didn't need to, because the goal is to get all those charges out of you, get all the emotion out of you. And very often what keeps us most caught, and it may not be the case with you, it's not just the rage and the anger and the pain and the sadness. It's very often it's the love and the longing and the I miss you. All right, next question. Janice Mayhew on Facebook asked the question, we've only seen a few times on the show. She asked the question, how do you deal with stalkers that have stalked you for years? It's a great question. I am a big fan of using the full extent of the law. Now, unfortunately, as you probably know, Janice, a lot of times the law doesn't help you or can't help you, or the laws in your state can't help you. You have to set hard boundaries, and you have to reinforce those boundaries constantly, and you have to use the law to the fullest extent of it. But whether it's a stalker or whether it is a narcissist, an ex-narcissist in your life, or a co-parent who runs over your boundaries, people, you cannot play soft in life if you are playing with someone, if you are interacting with someone who is playing hardball. You cannot. In the words, in the great learning from World War II and Neville Chamberlain coming back with the famous piece of paper, you cannot appease a dictator. And that stalker is trying to dictate your life. You cannot play the game of appeasement. You have to stand up, you have to be strong, and you have to be relentless in not backing down, which means the biggest thing that is going to keep you from doing that is your own fears, your own anxieties, the stuff going on inside of you. That means if you are not getting that crap out of you, it's corrupting you from inside. You're your own worst enemy. That's what's keeping you from that bold action. And this isn't just with stalkers. This is any sort of boundary that you've got to take in life. You are your own worst enemy if you have fears or anxieties or, gee, what will they think of me? Or if you're wanting something from that person that you're trying to set a boundary with. And not just setting a boundary. Setting a boundary is almost easy. The real part is holding that boundary because it comes at a price. Well, then they won't like me, or then they'll put me down, or then they won't give me that Scooby snack that I want, whatever it might be, that attention, whatever it is. You've got to be willing to let go of that. And that means getting out all of the pain, the fears, and the BS beliefs inside of you. You've got to be purging out your own anxieties and fears because that's what's blocking you from holding those hard lines that you know you need to hold. And you can do it, but again, it's your own stuff inside of you. It's like you have your foot on the accelerator and the foot on the brake at the same time when you're fighting your own self. All right, next question.
Got one, a good one here.
Go for it, Rob.
All right, Sven. Kelly says, I'm 41 and just found out I'm pregnant. Do you have any advice? I've got an adopted 29-year-old and two other kids, 24 and 17. My partner really wants to be a dad, but doesn't want to get too excited as his exes in the past have either lost the babies or aborted, so he has a lot of fears.
Exes in the past have lost the babies or aborted, but he's afraid to, how did she say it?
Wants to be a dad, but is afraid because his exes either lost the baby or they were aborted.
So it's not that he's afraid to be a dad. It sounds like he's afraid to get excited about this. Because when I've gotten excited, I've been let down when the baby has been lost or the baby has been aborted. In other words, if you make it through the pregnancy, it sounds like he's really excited, but he's just really fearful. So what are you hearing, Rob, in terms of what her real issue is?
At first, she's not really sure about having another baby when she has three totally grown kids, but she's amended her remarks here saying fear of the pregnancy. And this is a new partner that she's talking about.
A new partner. Yeah. Read it again, Rob.
I'm 41 and just found out I'm pregnant. Do you have any advice?
Okay, so she is pregnant. And do you have any advice? Go ahead, sorry.
Because I have an adopted 29-year-old and two other grown kids, 24 and 17, and my new partner, would like to be a dad, but he has fears because his exes had bad experiences.
Sure, and him having fears is perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
There you go. She says, how can I help him with his fears?
Right, but I would also ask you, if you were my client, I would say, do you actually want this child, or are you doing this for him? And you got to get real clear on that answer, little lady.
She wants it, yes. How do I help him with his fears?
Fair. That's fair. Now, let me ask you this. Will you still have the child even if he doesn't want it? Waiting on an answer, waiting on an answer, waiting on
Yes, more than anything.
All right. So you're having a child. Congratulations. That's a beautiful thing. I love babies. They're so cute. I like their cheeks. All right. Well, we're good on babies. I like babies. Good for you having a baby. I'm all for it. How do you help him get over it? In all honesty, just encourage him to talk it out and validate his feelings. And you can say, that makes total sense that you're afraid, because it does make sense. If he's been through loss where he got his hopes up, and tell him, it's okay to be afraid. And furthermore, if he's really sort of got the guts, you can encourage him to journal about his sadness, because I'm betting he still has sadness in him over the loss of those previous babies. And tell him to flush that out. Or if he's not a journaler yet, tell him you want to hear about it. Encourage him to talk it out with you. Now, the thing you don't want to get into the habit of is becoming his emotional tampon. You don't want that. You don't want to become his therapist long term. All right, because that's going to become a burden for you in any relationship, right? So men got to be just as emotionally responsible as women. So he's got to learn tools for getting out his feelings. And the simplest one is journaling. There's another one of writing letters. He can write letters that he doesn't send to his exes and say, "You're really disappointing me." Or he can write letters to the little babies that he lost. "I miss you, little guy. I really wish you would have been born. I was so excited to meet you." You know, and he may say, "Oh, that's silly or that's stupid." Say, "Don't be a dick. Use your imagination, Barney. Write the letter, get your feelings out." But you can educate him and give him some of these really basic tools and tell him, there are plenty of men that do this stuff. But he needs to begin to get his feelings out. But at the very least, teach him how to listen. Teach him what real listening feels like. And the soft skills of asking questions and feeling heard. All right, next question. Here we go. Denise Little Silver Fox Palmer. Now that's kind of a cool name. Says, how can a professed workaholic accept and let go of their old life? Basically move forward when they've been diagnosed with this thing that robs them of their life so they can find a new purpose for their life. Fundamentally, in finding a new purpose for your life, what blocks you from finding a new purpose for your life? This really gets back to that very first question that I got asked today, where we're talking about, how do I move forward? Remember the very first question? It was Moon Witch on TikTok. Moon Witch asked the question, how do I move forward when I've started the healing process? And in a way, it's the exact same question as being asked here. Different variables, some different variables, but fundamentally the same question. How do I move forward while I'm healing or while I've got this malady that I'm afflicted with? And the bottom line is you can't simultaneously sit in idle and move forward. Yet, in order to heal, we have to sit in idle. My sister-in-law, wonderful woman, just a fantastic woman, and a friend of the show. She recently underwent major surgery, and it's been a few weeks, and she's like, God dang, I want to, I still feel somewhat hampered, and I feel like I should be healing faster, and so on. And she's my age. We actually, go way back, and she's like, I want to be healing faster. Now, of course, we all know that as the body ages, we heal more slowly. But what we need when we're healing is rest. We need to shut down. I'm having joint problems in my elbows, and I know that I have to lay off the heavy lifting for a while. Why? To allow my body to heal. And so in the case of Denise Little Silver Fox Palmer talking about her partner or herself, she's fundamentally saying, how is there a new sense of purpose found when we've got this new diagnosis and sort of a loss of old life? What has to happen is the sitting still to grieve, to allow the soul to release the pain, to feel the pain and to release the pain of death of the old life. And I have no doubt at all that the depression that you're talking about and that major depression that is being talked about, there's a whole lot of pain in there that has to do with that old life, but the life that even predates that one, going way back to childhood. So you want to know, if you're just looking for a new life, a new sense of purpose to sort of salve or numb the wound of that depression, yeah, you can do that. But what I'm recommending is that you sit in that. Sit in the pain and begin to allow it to come up so that you can begin to flush and flush and flush out that pain. See it, acknowledge it, dive into it. Where is this coming from? What are the origins? Who taught me these things to believe about myself? How does this feel? What are the implications of these new truths I'm seeing about myself? It means to go further and further into something rather than seeking to move on past it and keep moving forward. It's to sit in it, and that's where the real healing happens. And the more we flush that stuff out, the more we do that, the more that our own natural self and our next purpose effortlessly blossoms up from within. All right. Much more to come right after this short break.
You know, I've read so many self-help books, and I always get something good out of them. But when I dove into There's a Hole in My Love Cup, well, it changed me. I cannot recommend this book highly enough. My copy is very dog-eared and highlighted. Thanks, Sven, for writing it. I love There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and believe you will also. Order your copy at badasscounseling.com.
This show provides soul counseling intended to entertain and inform and is not medical advice. Now, back to the badass.
And we are back with a lightning round of the Badass Counseling Show. And it's great. We've got questions coming in here. I've got Zach Closes Deals. He wrote back in and rephrased his question. I like it. And so here we go. Zach says, how can a couple heal from trauma and distrust from past separate relationships that causes an issue resolving conflict? Oh, I love that. That's really such a great question. I love, first of all, Zach, that you see that our problem in this relationship is being caused by trauma and shit, and distrust from past relationships. All right. I love that you're seeing the threads there. And especially for a guy, if I'm being really honest, that a guy is seeing that, because so often, a lot of guys don't want to dig below the surface of what's really going on here. And the fact that you're wanting to heal is great. I love seeing that too, versus just like, oh, this is no big deal and she's a bitch, so that's the problem. So this is great, Zach. God bless you. And so how does a couple heal from the past trauma? And just to add on to that, just so you're aware, the trauma and distrust from that you had in your past relationship or relationships, Zach, just looking at you, it's true of your partner as well, but in your past relationships, whether it was with Susie or Jenny or whatever, let's say your past relationship with Susie, your trauma in that relationship was being caused by a previous relationship that you had with Jenny, and the trauma in that one was being caused, and if we keep tracking back, at some point, it wasn't caused by a previous love relationship with a partner. It tracks back to the trauma and the distrust and the pain of the original love relationships in your life, and that is the love in family, or lack thereof, in family. And this is why I talk about in my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, that all relationship problems predate that relationship. In fact, they all go back to childhood. They all find their origins back there. You just have to keep pulling on that thread and pulling on that thread and pulling on the thread. So how do you heal from that stuff? Fundamentally, the biggest shift you have to make, Zach, and this is really a fantastic question, the biggest shift you have to make is to stop trying to solve the problems in the other person or solve the problems in your relationship. Zach, the single biggest thing you can do to transform your marriage or your love relationship is to begin to turn into your own life, and you just frickin' heal you. You begin to go back into your past. Let's just pick that relationship with Susie. Obviously, I'm making up a name here. And I want you to, and I just use the simplest tools. This is why you guys always hear me coming back to journaling and writing letters. And I teach other tools in my books, especially my bestseller, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, but these are the two very simplest ones. I want you to write a letter to Susie. And you're not going to send it to her. And you're going to tell her everything you feel. And you may end up writing another one. And you're going to use the strongest language possible. And maybe it's love, maybe it's hate, maybe it's anger, maybe it's rage, maybe it's disappointment, betrayal, whatever it is. Because that trauma and that distrust, those are feelings. which means you still have feelings in you that are being triggered in your new relationship because of feelings that you still have left over from your past relationship that you didn't get out of you. And this, people, is why your therapist says take time before you get into a new relationship. Take time to heal from your past relationship. Oh, this is why. Because if I don't, I'm going to drag that shit right into the next one. Oh, I'm not the problem. No. If something goes wrong in my new relationship, she's the problem. Oh, it's her. No, it's because you dragged your own crap in. So take some time and heal your crap. So what you need to do, Zach, and she needs to do it too. And what very often happens is one person doesn't want to do it. And if you really want to get serious, I mean, if you're really serious about having great relationships in your life, Zach, go into the childhood crap. Now, those are where the origins are. All right. And you're like, well, how the hell do I do that? And I could spend the next freaking 7 hours explaining it, or just either I've got 1,700 free videos on all social, but mainly Insta and TikTok are the easiest ones because it's all thumbnails and you can scroll through. Just start watching those. They're free. They're 100% free. Listen to this podcast. Use these lightning rounds and use the counseling episodes. Use them as templates for you beginning to examine your own life, particularly your own childhood, and journaling from it. Literally costs you nothing. Those two things. Buy the book. It'll step you through the exact process. There's a Hole in My Love Cup. If you've read that one, get Badass Wisdom. Those will step you through the process of healing, but start with Love Cup. You focus on you, her focus on you, and I guarantee you, as a matter of absolute fact, if you have the courage to keep going down and opening up to the ugly, nasty crap of your past relationships, but especially childhood, I guarantee your conflict in your relationship with your lover, your sense of lightness, your sense of connection, your sense of opening up and sharing radical honesty with each other, not brutal honesty, radical honesty will transform everything. Rob, you want to chime in on that thought?
Yeah, I can't stop nodding my head. I mean, I personally endorse what you're saying. I have personal experience with this, and I'm just encourage everyone to listen to that carefully, because it's the absolute truth. Until you're in it, you don't really realize how powerful it is to go back and look at the early influences that have affected your relationships and be able to avoid those when going forward.
Yeah.
Especially if you find the right person.
Yeah, and it's interesting in that vein, and this is somewhat tangential, but it's completely related. I get therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists coming to me and saying, Sven, how can I get certified in the Badass Counseling Method? And I tell them, well, I don't actually have a program per se, and I haven't started a school because put it on my to-do list if you can find the bottom. But I would require, first of all, going through counseling with me. And they're always like, well, I've been through plenty of counseling, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you don't get it. It's just, you don't get it. It's not the same. Until you have drilled down to the deepest, ugliest, nastiest, scariest stuff. Until you have gone into the cave you most fear to enter and slayed the most terrifying dragons that you have spent your life running from, you haven't done it. You haven't done it. And you don't know, to Rob's point, you just don't know what this is. You can't know. There's no point of orientation. But the hope is that if you have the courage, and really ultimately the tragedy is that ultimately what drives people in that exploration, what drives people to finally go after it, is that the pain gets bad enough.
What luck.
What terrible, nasty, God-forsaken luck, right? All right. Mama Crystal on TikTok asked the question, is journaling a necessity though? Can we think through our traumas and heal without writing it down? No, absolutely not. From where I sit. Now, there are other therapists who are going to give you other theories and so forth, and God bless them, and I'm sure their stuff works great. All right. You're asking me, however, is it possible to think through our traumas? No. Do you want to know why? Because it's staying inside. There's an old saying from, I don't know if it's what field of study it's from or whatever. We never know what we think until we're forced to codify our thinking. Codify, put into code, put into words what we're thinking. To get it out of us And it's not just knowing what we're thinking, but it's a matter of getting out. It's not even just the thinking. It's the feelings that go with it. And if it's not getting out of you, my clients, you guys hear me say it all the time. Until the pain is out of you, it's still in you. Until the BS beliefs you have been taught to believe about yourself are out of you, they are still in you. Thinking does nothing. And you know what? Accept this. Accept this. Thinking enables you to avoid the nasty. Thinking enables you to stay up here where it's safe. People wanting to stay in the thinking are trying to avoid all the feelings for fear that I will be overwhelmed. It will hurt too much. I'm too scared. If I feel it, if I look at it, that means implicating people, and I would feel guilty. And I always tell people, I don't need you to confront the living, breathing human being. I just need you to confront the stuff that's inside of you. Too scary. It would hurt too much. I'd feel guilty saying that my father this or my mother that. And so, no, what thinking does, it enables you to not look at and truly feel and truly examine it all. So the truth is, can people do it without writing it down? Well, I do it with people in my counseling because I drill down very, very deep, very, very hard. Yes, and I do it on the show in the counseling episodes of the Badass Counseling Show, those episodes that air on Thursdays, right? Because we have the counseling episodes and these lightning rounds. But can you do it just by thinking through your trauma? No. At least not in the Badass Counseling method. Maybe other therapists or other whatever do, but I've never heard of a method. I've been doing my way for 30 plus years. This works for the people that I work with. But, again, I don't know everything. I'm the dumbest guy on the playground. So, better to listen to someone else. But I'm just saying from where I work, that's what I've got. Rob, you had a dating question for me.
Yes, I do, Sven. This is on YouTube from Kyle.
Hey, Kyle.
Who asks, what's keeping me from dating? I keep giving the cold shoulder in the talking stage. It's been a long time since I've dated, and I don't feel anything for that former person, presumably, just that person. But I cannot move forward.
Kyle, if you and I were sitting together, which kind of we are right now, I would ask you the question, if there were a fear, because I'm betting my left testicle there is, if Vegas would give me odds. If there were a fear, what is your single greatest fear in going further in dating? If you were to sum it up in one sentence or less, what ultimately is your fear? Because for those of you who have read any of my books know, or if you've watched any of my 1,700 videos, or if you've heard me speak at my different speaking events, one of the things I come back to is if you're ever trying to understand why someone's doing something that doesn't make sense, or someone's not doing something that sort of would make sense, or that they want to do but they can't do, if somebody's doing something that just seems wonky, always ask yourself the question, what's the primary fear driving the behavior? Then speculate the answers and go with the biggest, hairiest, scariest one, because it's always that. I'm not saying it isn't other factors as well, but there's always one whopper. Kyle, you've got some monster fear inside of you. I'm willing to bet that even though you don't have feelings for that past person or persons, you have some giant fear. And I'm willing to bet it's the fear of getting hurt again, fear of losing love again.
Kyle just wrote being hurt again.
That's it. So then the question becomes, the mere fact that you're bringing up dating says a part of you wants to date. You want to date. You want to be connected. Otherwise, why would you even be asking this question? You'd be like, I don't want to date. I'm not going on dates. But you are going on dates. You keep going on dates because a part of you is hoping to break through. A part of you wants to connect. And that's a very human thing. And there's nothing wrong with not connecting or not wanting to connect, but it's very human to also want to connect. And you want it. Otherwise, you wouldn't be going on these freaking dates. So you're going on the dates, wanting to connect, but something is causing you to not do it. You're terrified, Kyle, and that's okay. That is a very normal response to having been hurt in the past. So if you and I were sitting talking together, I'd be asking, all right, so talk to me. So you got hurt. Talk to me about when you got hurt. And if you have a therapist, this is what you should be talking about. You shouldn't be talking about your last week at work and, gee, how your boss is a dick. All right, you should be talking about this. Well, if you don't have a therapist, you should be journaling about this or writing a letter to the person who hurt you, writing 5 letters. You should be journaling. What am I feeling today? I'm feeling really sad and I still miss her. And it was such a disappointment. And I'm honestly, to God, I'm really terrified of getting my heart hurt again. And I hate being alone. But you know what? What I hate even more is them walking away. It's the rejection. It's not the aloneness. It's the rejection that hurts so much. And I would ask you, so you're journaling all this stuff, right? And then I would ask you, what is that? When was the first time you most felt rejected? See, now this is you really drilling down, right? Now you're getting down into some past shit. This is some really powerful healing stuff here, Kyle. When was the first time I felt rejected? Sven would ask me that question, and you write the question on your paper. I guess the first time I felt rejected was when Missy rejected me back when I was 13, and I really liked her, and it just really hurt my feelings. And then, you know what? My mom laughed at me or my brothers laughed at me, and that hurt so badly. And I guess I always wanted someone to like me, and maybe that would make that, okay, so you're journaling all this stuff out. Journal to get all these feelings out of you. But right now you're so terrified of that happening again, and you will continue to be terrified until you get that pain out of you. Because until the pain is out of you, it's still in you. All right. Someone is saying, I'm going through dating stuff right now, so thank you for these questions. Lovely. All right. Okay. Emotionless on TikTok says, how come my abusive ex still says he loves me even though it's been over 4 years? Okay. Well, there could be a whole number of reasons here. One, maybe he does still love you. I still love both of my ex-wives. In a way, God, in fact, I see my one ex-wife, she's the mother of my kids, and we see each other. Good to see you. I'll just call her Jenny. Jenny, good to see you. I love you. I love you too. Right. Mother of my kids, my kids are in their 30s, whatever. It's, love, but that's not the kind of love you're talking about. He may be even saying, your ex may be saying, oh, I love you, all this stuff. So it could be that he actually feels love. It could be just to control you. It could be just to mess with your head. And think about this. You're asking the wrong question though. You're asking the wrong question. You say, Emotionless on TikTok says, how come my abusive ex still says he loves me even though it's been over 4 years? The question you should be asking is, why is it messing with your head so much? Why? Why do you give a shit? What do you care? I mean, your ex could be saying, the launch codes of nuclear weapons. What do you care? Your ex could be saying, freaking, I don't know anything. Why do you care? You've been apart for 4 years and this person was abusive. You would think this would be the last person you would want to be listening to any words from. So what that tells me, if you are still listening, and the mere fact that you're wondering what it means, like, is it secret code? Like, does he still love me? Says you still want him. You're still looped in. Otherwise, why would you even give a shit? And by you asking what he's thinking, it's like, oh, do they like me? It's like, back in middle school, junior high, give this note to Billy. Billy, do you like me? Check X, yes. Check here, no. Will you go roller skating with me? Check here, yes. Check here, no. And then Bill, it's like that. Does he like me? Does he not like that? And I'm not trying to be a jerk here, but it's like, that's basically what you're doing, because you really like Billy in this case. You still love your ex-abusive Billy. And I'm not dogging you for that. We've all been there, but this person abused you. And the single biggest thing you have to do, because this shit is eating you up inside, what's killing you right now is your love and your longing for that person, and likely also you're alone right now, aren't you? Either that or you're in an even worse relationship right now. And because of your present state, you're actually looking back on a past state with an abuser thinking, gee, how great it was. I wonder if they want me back. And I know I'm elevating my voice, but it's out of compassion. Because we've been there. We've all been there. We've longed for someone who was so mean to us. I've been there. And I was abused by two long-term relationships. Yes, by women as a 6'4", 270-pound male. And I know what it's like to long for that person. I get it. But you got to get that out, honey. You got to get that out. If you're not talking about this with your therapist, you need to be talking about it with your journal. I miss him so much. And write him a letter. I miss you so much, but I know you're just toxic as hell and I love you and I long for you. And you're thinking, well, wouldn't that be bad to be feeling those feelings? Shouldn't I not be feeling? You can't cut off feelings that exist. You have to flush and flush and flush and flush and flush till they're no longer in you. All right. Next question. Right. This is from Sue on TikTok. How do I forgive myself for not becoming the person I wanted to be? Sue, you didn't become the person you wanted to be, I'm willing to bet, because you had so much pain and fear in you back when you were 20, 30, 40, all those years, whatever it was. You had the pressures of the world inside of you and likely around you. You had people telling you shouldn't this and you should do that. And if you don't do what I say, or if you disappoint me, I mean, isn't that what we're talking about here, Sue? All the pressures you had back on you when you were 17 to go do this. When you were 23, don't do that. When you were 33, well, how come you're not this? Right? Am I correct? Right. And so you didn't become that person you wanted to be. And you're saying, how do I forgive that person? Sue, isn't it fascinating that you can look back on, let's just randomly say 33-year-old you. And if you were to really think back on 33-year-old you, and just so you know, Sue, this is something I hear frequently with all my clients. Once I've finally gotten them through the healing process, they're like, holy shit, I wish I would have done this 30 years ago. And I'm so mad I wasted so much time, or what have you. And, isn't it fascinating, Sue, that you can think about 33-year-old you and you can think about, God, she screwed up. She should have this. I should have this. I should have that. Or 21-year-old you, why didn't I do this? And you're banging the hell out of 33-year-old her. You're beating her over the head with a clay pot. Or 21-year-old you. But you know all she was going through, Sue. You know how much she was hurting. You know how sad she was. You know all the pressures on her. You, of all people, should be compassionate towards her, Sue. You, of all people, know the pain, how much she just wanted to be loved, how much she just wanted someone to say, you're such a good person. You are lovable. You're just fine the way you are. You don't have to earn love. Why don't you be that person to 22-year-old you that you wanted someone to be for you back then? Why don't you now set her free from her guilt and her feeling unlovable and her self-loathing, rather than you, as I'm going to make up your age, 55-year-old woman or 67-year-old woman, rather than you now going back and beating up on her, why don't you stand in front of her and say, no one gets to be mean to her anymore? And you defend her and you say, I got you. And why don't you go back? And I want you to imagine this when you're laying in bed tonight or tomorrow morning. I want you to hold that 19-year-old version of you, that glorious 30-year-old version of you, or that 9-year-old version of you. And I want you to hold her sweet 15-year-old face in your hands. And I want you to see her. Freckles, dimples, pretty eyes, beautiful hair, soft skin, whatever it was. And look at her and see the majesty of her. And see her pain and how hard she was trying, that glorious, beautiful child, and saying, oh, I've got you, love. No one's going to hurt you. And let her just collapse into your arms, because she knows for the first time in her life she's safe. And go back and hold 42-year-old you, because 42-year-old you is saying, I'm sorry, I wasn't strong enough to heal. I'm sorry that you've had to carry that weight 13 more years to age 55. I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough. Go back and give 42-year-old you that giant hug and kiss and love. Say, it's all right, hon. You were doing your best. You had it so hard. It's okay. I love who you are. You're glorious. Sue, you don't need to beat up on past you. You need to be the savior of past you. that goes back and protects them, that goes back and releases their pain, because they're coming to you with boxes of all their pain, and they're saying, please set us free. Please, you're a woman. We weren't strong enough, but you're strong. They're counting on you to set them free by releasing all them feelings, but by now you beating up on them saying, and why didn't you be stronger? Why didn't you pursue who I wanted to be? Why didn't you do it? Now it's you shaming them. Now it's not anyone else shaming them and calling them unlovable. Now it's you doing that. Set them free. Protect them. Understand. Be compassionate for all the pain they were in and how hard they were trying. I'm just going to take one or two more questions here. And Rob, go ahead. I'll take yours and then one more. Go ahead, Rob.
All right. Over on YouTube, Sven D asks, how do I help my young adult child to have or learn to have more empathy?
Simple. Don't allow your child to mistreat you at all. Zip zero. Furthermore, use the phrase, that hurts. Please don't hurt me. It's not okay for you to talk to me that way. And don't back down. But so often nowadays, and this is a somewhat new phenomenon, especially in the last 30, 40 years, the need to be liked by my child. It's not new under the sun, but it's become much more prevalent that we so don't want to stand up to our own children and say, hey, that's not okay. Or we don't want to hold them accountable or make them responsible or say no or say, hey, you got chores here, and hold kids accountable, but that means holding them accountable for how they treat you. And if they are, and it starts with you. You can't teach them to be empathetic towards you per se, but you can teach them what they're not allowed to do. And if you don't have the courage to have boundaries with your own children, it's because you're afraid of them not liking you, which means you've got fears in there. And that goes down to, if my kids don't like me, then I don't have worth. And that goes back to, you're using your children to prove your own worth. And if you're needing them, and I'm sort of speculating on all this, but where is that empathy coming from? Because if they're showing empathy, it's not likely that they're showing empathy towards you, but not showing it towards other people. More likely, they're not showing it to you.
She says, empathy for others, I seem to be her safe place.
Oh, so she's showing empathy for you, and you seem to be her safe place, which seems to imply she needs to feel safe in order to show empathy. So she puts on a harder shell in the form of no empathy around other people. Yeah, and that's fear. Your daughter's afraid. She's afraid of getting hurt. The mere fact that you say she seems to feel safe around me, right? In other words, you won't hurt her, so she can open up. Empathy is a mark of an open heart. Empathy, what's M? M is in. Okay, this is Greek. This is Latin. It's Greek actually. M, in, and pathos, pati. Means passion. It means to feel. It means pain. It's to be in pain with someone else. And I'm not going to open up to someone else's pain because they might hurt me and their pain might hurt too much as well. And I don't feel safe. Or I feel safe with you, Mom. You're not going to dump pain on me. You're not going to hurt me, but also you're going to keep your pain to yourself. So your child is living in fear. And so what you can talk about, you can ask your child, what's your fear in showing empathy to other people? Or what's your fear in showing, in being open to other people's pain or understanding them? Now, the truth is, the real problem is your child's love cup is probably full of so much pain of their own already. That's the root problem that is keeping them. That's why they're afraid of being empathetic towards someone else. And so your daughter has a lot of pain inside of her that has to come out. And that's why I recommend my book, There's a Hole in My Love Cup, and she can be reading it to help her flush out her own pain. And you can certainly facilitate that, though you're not her therapist. And that always gets a little dicey, trying to do therapy on someone you love. But I would strongly recommend that your child start reading that and doing her therapy on herself, because that's what it is. And this is the proverbial, tough gal or tough guy who puts on the hard outer armor when they're a bundle of goo inside. The armor is to protect themselves. Well, what do they feel the need to protect? That I feel so lost and hurting and alone and afraid and unworthy and unlovable inside. Oh, so you got something inside that needs to be healed. That's what's going on with your daughter. She's terrified. And until she gets all that pain and the fears and the BS beliefs she's been taught about herself, not only out, but identified, naming the beast is half the problem. Until she does that, she's going to walk through life storming over other people, and she's going to alienate people, hurt people. It's going to mess up her relationships, etc. All right. Can you have a successful relationship with a trauma bond? Now, you guys know, I tell you all the time, don't use this jargon. However, I'm going to take it. This is from Italian Mama. Can you have a successful relationship with a trauma bond? I'm going to assume you mean a successful relationship with a person with a trauma bond, but you didn't technically say that. So I have to answer two questions here. Can you have a successful relationship with a trauma bond, with the trauma and the bond itself? Yeah. And with a person with whom you have a trauma bond, yes, you can. But the bottom line is that trauma bond has to be healed, which means the trauma has to be healed. What fundamentally is trauma? It's a memory with an emotional charge attached to it, or multiple emotional charges attached to it. What is an emotional charge? Very simply, this morning, after I woke up, it's election day, it's voting day, and a dear friend of mine is involved in local elections, and I thought, oh, I'll be nice, and I took a coffee to my friend who has to stand at the polling place and shake hands of people going in to vote. In this state, that's what they do. I had never heard of it before, but I thought, hey, I'll bring a cup of coffee, be a good friend. So I drove and I dropped off a cup of coffee. Then I went to my favorite coffee shop and I sat outside. It was 44 degrees and I'm sitting outside and I'm writing. I'm working on my next book. And then I wrote, and then I went inside after my fingers got cold, and I wrote some more. And then I went home, and then I fed the dogs. Then, interestingly, I got a call from my assistant, and there had been a whole problem with our software, and our computers got shut down, and I got freaking pissed because we just paid to have this software redesigned, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Do you want to know what the difference between my dropping off the coffee, going to my coffee shop and writing, and the call with my assistant was? I had a traumatic event with my assistant. Why? Because it was emotionally charged. I got pissed, not at my assistant. Kate is a gem. If any of you have ever had to interact with Kate through the website or counseling or Community Plus, our community group on the she's a gem. Okay. But just at the whole event, I was pissed. So I had to go journal, right? And use a couple other releasing techniques that I have that I talk about in my book. Okay. So that was a trauma event. It was minor trauma, but a minor trauma event. And I quickly released all of the pain and the energy charged around it. It had an emotional charge. Going and dropping off the coffee and then going and writing, no emotional charge. Nothing. It was just a memory. It's just a memory. This thing I did, I have no emotion attached to that. Now, when I was crossing those train tracks, if a car had cut in front of me and then I got frozen on those train tracks, even if there was no train coming, but I'm sitting on train tracks because somebody just cut in front of me to zoom around me because they had to go to Trader Joe's, and I'm frozen on the train tracks, that would have caused fear because I don't like the idea of being frozen on train tracks. I really don't, even if there's no train. So I would have been pissed and afraid. Now I got a trauma event. All right. That's what trauma is. Anytime you have a memory that has an emotional charge attached to it. So you ask the question, can you have a successful relationship with a person with a trauma bond? Yes, you can. But what it requires is going back into your traumas and decharging, removing the emotional charges. How do you do that? You call up that memory. You allow yourself to think about it. Yeah, but Sven, that makes me really uncomfortable. And I get nervous and I get afraid. Exactly. That's the point. See, if you have to call up, and this is the difference between my method and a lot of methods, I take my clients into it. We bring up those feelings. We go deep in. We talk about it. We talk. We allow ourselves to feel it. Or you journal about it, or you write letters about it, or you use some of the other tools, releasing techniques, accepting techniques that I talk about in the book to flush, so that we have decharged the memory. Now it's just a memory. I went and I got a hamburger. I drove home. It's just a memory. What was it before? I went and I got a hamburger, and the hamburger burnt my tongue, and it triggered this reaction in my mouth, and then I had to be rushed to the hospital, and I spent 3 days in the hospital. Oh. Okay. But if we decharge it, see, that's the difference. That's how we begin to have a successful relationship with the trauma, is by decharging it. How do we have a successful relationship with a person that we share a trauma bond with? We both have gone into the trauma and done the decharging. And that requires the brass balls to go into your pain, feel it, allow it up, welcome it, and provide it a point of exit by these tools that you hear me keep talking about. All of that being said, fine humans, it is time to call it quits. This has been a great one. We've covered a lot of different ground. Rob, any thoughts?
You know, when you've done the work, and it's an ongoing process, the work really never ends. But when you've done the bulk of the work and you're feeling better and you listen to these questions and answers, it's just, there's a lot of nodding that goes on, and you're always picking up something new. But it's an enormous relief.
Yeah. And I like what you said there, that, on one hand, we all hear it, oh, healing is a lifelong journey. It's not. It's really not. Healing isn't a lifelong thing. You are healed. That trauma can be fundamentally healed. Are there tiny bits and pieces from the past? Yes. Do I regularly have a memory of, oh, shit, I embarrassed. God dang, that was 10th grade. Oh, man. Oh, did I really say that? Oh, but then what do? I take 10 minutes and I write about it, and then it's out of my system. But the major stuff, to your point, Rob, the major stuff, once you finally slayed those demons, then everything else is just small stuff, or everything else is some new trauma or some new life event, the loss of a dog, or some new medical malady. You've healed the past stuff, but now some new things are always being dropped in to your love cup. But once you've healed these massive 500-pound rocks of pain or whatever from the past, getting a new 75-pounder, it sucks, pain in the ass, but it's doable. A, because you've done it before. B, because you have the tools. And C, because you've got so much unused bandwidth in the love cup. Massive mixing of metaphors. And so it's just like, this is doable. But as far as healing, you're not so much healing, you're addressing a new trauma. But healing from the past, it's not a lifetime thing. It doesn't have to be. And my God, if you are in therapy for so many years and this lifelong thing, it's like, oh, Jesus, I'm sorry, you got to go deeper. I'm not trying to be a dick, but my therapy, my counseling practice is predicated on the belief that healing should not take a long time. That most of my clients are 3-4 months, sometimes a bit longer if we're working as a couple or whatever. But the deeper you go, transformation can be basically immediate the deeper you go. All right, folks, this has been a lightning round taping of the Badass Counseling Show. Thanks for coming. Thanks to everyone who tuned in, whether you were tuning in from Belgium or Latvia, the Baltic States, from Tokyo, Indonesia. It's been great having you tuning in. On behalf of my team, KC, Rob the Rocket, have a kick-ass day.
The Badass Counseling Show is strictly copyrighted. No copies may be made without the express written consent of the Badass Counseling Show, LLC. The Badass Counseling Show is produced by Karen Camparelli and Robert H. Friedman. Executive producer Sven Erlandson. Original music by two-time Emmy Award-winning composer Trevor Morris. Have a kick-ass day.